Black Alpha Network. Power to the people.
You want to take that, brother?
Absolutely. That's a real fact right there. Where they at? Dr. Umar's out here doing the goddamn two-step and videos and stuff. You feel me? Where they at? I know y'all seen that video. God damn. Anyway, shaking my head. Exactly. True point. Where the Pan-Africans at? These same Pan-Africans who got all these things to say about us, they're not there at all. They're not even tweeting it out. I mean, the easiest thing you could do is retweet. That takes 2 seconds. They're not even doing that. So it shows you again, once again, that these people only run their mouths when it comes to unity. They only run their mouths when it comes to holding it down. And we understand it's a play. Let's just be honest and let's just get to the brass tacks of the situation. They don't want to be unified with us at all. They want to use the term unity so we can drop our guards and then they can come back in and eat off our plate like they're used to doing. These people do not want to have any accord with us. These people genuinely have hatred for foundational Black Americans. But the quicker they can get us to believe that unity shit, that's quicker than we're going to drop our guard. And then next thing you know, they're running off with our tangibles. So the term unity is always used as some type of mechanism so they can steal what we've created. They can steal what we innovated, and they can steal what rightfully belongs to us. So this is why we are rejecting the term unity. We're rejecting the term divisive. We're rejecting the terms flat blackness or anything else that gives the connotation or the notion that we are all operating together. The only thing that is operating is one function, and that is foundational Black American lineage, heritage, and culture. Outside of that, as my brother Zilla says, the door is closed. World Watcher, you want to go ahead and speak, family? World Watcher, it's all on you. All right, we're going to jump right back to you, Zilla, while World gets his situation corrected. Go ahead, Zilla.
Yeah, you know, that's so funny. These Pan-Africanists that always come out talking crazy, especially Greg Carr. Now, what's so funny about Greg Carr is he'll go talk crazy on Roland about us, but then when it came down to him having to give his input on the California reparations end of it, he had to turn around and start agreeing with these talking points that he's on TV talking against. So when he got in that meeting, when it's on the record, all of a sudden what we say over here makes total sense to him and he was on board. Then he'll turn his, I gotta sell these Pan-Africanist books. He'll get that person back on to Roland and then start talking crazy because he's protecting a hustle. Most of these guys are, you know, and I have to say it. There are a lot of booksellers in the conscious community. We got to just realize that, yes, a lot of them folks will come up at simple reason alone. Oh, looks like we got the Congo fan club in the house, man. So I would love to hear how you're going to try to morph the Congo into a wiped out slave society, because, you know, slaves in America were absolutely separated from even their own names, but all of a sudden they're going to remember the music. Yeah, well, I guess we still got to give it a shot. So, Buckshot, go ahead.
Well, I just, you know, I did really want to talk about, because Beatzilla, you're the reason that I actually called my teacher and talked to him. And he gave me the story, the real story, after hearing Louis Armstrong's great-grandnephew or son, great-grandnephew, that my teacher told me, says, because I hadn't heard this story in like 40 years. So he told me that in 1957, when he was 12 years old, Louis Armstrong was touring, visiting, you know, Congo, different areas of Congo, and he did a performance for the white folks, and then afterwards he did a performance for the Black folks because Black folks couldn't be where the white folks was. So when he did the performance for the Black folks, my teacher was there, and he said that they talked to him and asked him questions about, you know, where he's from and stuff. This is where he said in front of the crowd of people that was there for his performance that his grandmother told him, don't ever forget that they come from the Congo. And I just wanted to say that because when the question was asked to the young brother, where are your people from? He said, we're from the United States, always have been. And we have some white folks mixed in us. That was his response to, where's your people from? So I'm giving you a firsthand witness of Louis Armstrong saying that. and I'll land there. I just wanted to clear that up with y'all, since, you know, that was a very poignant point for me.
Thank you. I could totally believe him saying that, because that's what entertainers tend to do. So seeing that he was there playing, because, you know, my dad also used to play for Willa Dorsey doing the USO shows. So they always would typically go to different places. It's like, hello, Baltimore, are you ready to rock? It's kind of one of them things. So to take it seriously over a person from that family, I can't really do that. Because as a musician and being understanding, entertaining and touring and all of that type of thing, that is normal.
The boy didn't even know his uncle toured in Africa. He didn't even know that. He didn't even know he had visited the Congo. He didn't even know that.
That does not alleviate that brother's bloodline, sir. I mean, I get it. Your teacher really believes that he is from the Congo. But again, let me go back to what I said earlier. If we were absolutely stripped of our culture, name, remembrance of our own selves, how then would anybody remember coming from the Congo in the midst of slavery?
I met a guy who told me the same thing, and his last name is the same as my mother's last name. When I went to check the records in Opelousas, Louisiana, I couldn't go no further back than my grandfather. My grandfather's last name was Hamilton. When I checked the record books, it didn't have a listing for his mother and father. It didn't even go that far back. But when I met this young brother who's from New Orleans, his last name is Hamilton. Just out the blue, I met him. And he told me the exact same thing. He said his grandmother told him that they come from the Congo. And this has nothing to do with what my teacher told me. This is a young brother that is from New Orleans that I met that has the same last name as my mother's maiden name.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, and not to say that that's not the case. Yeah, not to say that is not true. But nonetheless, I cannot discredit a actual blood family member over a show. Because again, like I said, entertainment and an experience of one night does not turn into a family lineage. That man came in here and represented his family lineage. Whether you agree with him, whether you don't. The fact of the matter is, your teacher was not related to that man. So this man is coming in telling you what it was. I mean, that's all we could really say. If that man says, no, we ain't from the Congo, then, see, here's the thing that you're missing. Louis Armstrong is part of a family. That man is part of a family. So not just Mr. Armstrong, but all of the aunties, grandmothers, cousins, uncles, grandfathers, all of these people would know if they are from the Congo or not. So to come from that, that's absolutely absurd. Our black families do not move like that, sir.
It's obvious the young guy didn't really know that. He didn't, really go in deep into anything. But let me just say this. When I mentioned Congo Square in New Orleans, the place where they used to go and dance, and they still do today, the brother in the room said that Congo Square, who started Congo Square? He was saying, he said white folks gave it the name Congo Square, and African music didn't have anything to do with jazz.
Right.
Ain't that a bitch?
That's typical of American folklore. I mean, we're talking about a country that had businesses and brands like Coon Chicken, Nigga Head Tobacco, and all of these disparaging black things that were actually done by white folks. Al Jolson ain't black.
But Congo Square is not disparaging. It's not like Ancient Mama or,
Wait.
Congo is not a disparaging name.
Trust me.
That is the name, actual name of the...
No. Back up. Because, see, what we're talking about is Africa. If we got a whole bunch of tethers out here complaining about being called an African booty scratcher, you mean to tell me that you still perceive Congo Square was to pay homage to the Congolese slaves? I mean, that belief is absolutely atrocious. No, white supremacy.
It got its name.
White supremacy.
It got its name from
the white supremacists named it because it was a diss, not because it was a celebration. I don't understand how it was a diss. It's a blatant diss to black folks.
It's a diss to call a place where black folks dance Congo Square. What's the diss?
Oh my
You
goodness.
ain't making no sense.
No, because you're not making any sense because you do not understand white supremacy, sir.
I'm sure everybody in here really gets it though.
Hey, whoa. Let me chime in. Let me chime in. Let me chime in. The fact that you got to use a slur as the only disses that exist, that's inaccurate, brother. Here's the kicker. It's a term that's not used properly. If somebody's name is John and you call him Jerome, someone's name is Jerome and you call him Peter, someone's name is Peter and you call him Bob, that's an inaccuracy. And it's an inaccuracy that's done to dilute what's really occurring and what's really going on. And I remember you said that before. Who's your teacher, brother? Because you keep wanting us to bow down to your teacher. Who's this?
Is a slur?
Congo is a slur. Congo is a slur if the Congolese people did not create it. Yes, Congo is a slur if it's not used accurately.
Though the white folks didn't name Congo.
I don't care who named the name. If it's not being placed properly on the proper individual, then it is a slur and it's being used as a backhanded undermine tactic. And now, if you understand white supremacy, then you understand they do that all the time. Now, as I continue, brother,
You're not joking.
I'm very serious, and you're the joke. So, as I'm saying, brother, and you're being laughed at, probably about 115 FBAs up in this room, brother. So continue to get laughed at. We ran you out the space the last time because you have some mythological teacher that no one can account for, and you want everybody to bow down to. Hey, mute this guy, Zilla. Mute this guy. Anyway, as I was saying, brother, you want to run around here and speak about this mythological teacher, and I know you're still listening on the burner, brother, so you're going to catch this work. You're going to catch it live or you're going to catch it on your burner. The mythological teacher that you speak of does not exist. It's somebody that you created in your tether mind because you're doing the tether two-step, you're doing the tether tap dance, and FBAs do not go for it, brother. So you can coon walk your ass right on off this stage, brother, because it didn't work the last time. It's not going to work this time. This is foundational black Americans, and the brother you were referring to is our brother Greg, and Greg roasted you. And it's funny, hey, to everybody listening, Greg was actually cooking on his stove. And he was cooking this tether at the same time. So his ass got the double cook, okay? He was cooking and cooking. That's how easy it is when you start dealing with these tethers. They're easy work like a part-time job, and everybody knows that type of stuff. This gentleman is trying to say that the Congo, and our brother Sage, salute to Sage. Sage was clowning him, talking about the Congo. This guy is trying to act like foundational black American culture from jazz to everything else was created by Congo people. And his testimony is what W's said. His testimony is white supremacy. So anytime somebody comes around you and their testimony is a mythological teacher that he can never say the name, or it's white supremacy, then you know you have tether DNA. You see a tether talking, and he's talking out of his tether ass teeth, and it will not be tolerated in any space of foundational black Americans. So when you deal with anybody like this or any guy like this, you see he ran because that's what they do. I'm not surprised that a fleer fled. Are y'all surprised by that? That they come in our spaces and they flee? They spend their whole life fleeing any goddamn way. So they fleeing over borders, they fleeing over rivers, they're fleeing through towns, and they fleeing off of Twitter spaces. Now, my brother Marcel, the floor is yours, family.
Hello, everyone. Oh, man, Nice Girl even got up. I must have missed it. Nice Girl get up and speak off this whole... Damn. I always miss the parts. But let me say something to y'all real quick. One, no, there is no diaspora war. I mean, a war would imply that you have combatants that can actually pose a legitimate threat to the other. Not one single person from the diaspora or the African continent can legitimately pose a threat to us when we get on cold. The energy we offer up. You see, but the problem is us. We failed to get on code, and then we just want to be the doormat. We sit there and go, we just got to love one another. Peace and love, and we shall overcome, and happy Negroes, and plantation clapping and buck dancing. No, those days are over. They should have never existed to begin with. Okay? So there is no war. It's black Americans, this freedmen, descendant of American slaves, we are putting ourselves first. And the tethers, not black immigrants who may not be one of us, but they don't hate us. Some of them may actually, I'm not saying I agree with their idea, but some of them may actually think they are allies to us. I'm not talking about those. We're talking about the tethers, the black immigrant coons. There is no war. They aren't even, they couldn't even, I mean, let me tell you something. They say, there's a quote from an African nation, I forgot which one. It says when the elephants fight, the ants are the ones that get crushed. We're the elephants. Okay? We stepping on them all the time and don't even realize it. Okay? So they don't want no war. And the truth of the matter is, we don't even need to give them the attention of a war. All we need to do is get on cold, and the tethers are going to go away like we should have been putting them away a long, long, long time ago.
Gas, family. Always, brother. Shout out to Marcel Dixon as well. I see brother Michael. I see you in here. If my memory serves me correct, you foundational Black American that's actually living overseas. Ain't you living in Africa? So I know you got something to chime in on this, brother. So you can unmute yourself. Brother, oh, no. Did they kick him out? Come on, Twitter. Brother Michael, if you can come back on, just send another request. Damn. If you're there, go ahead and unmute yourself, if you can hear me. Brother Michael. Damn. See, Twitter. See how they doing us, bro? Man. Okay, so again, shout out, thank you to everybody who is in this space. If real quick, you could tweet this space out, it would greatly help us. Of course, actually, I think we're probably rolling right now. So shout out to everybody else. Y'all can send y'all requests on in and come on up. I'll pass it back to brother.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, it ain't never a dull moment, is it, family?
Man.
You already know. Brother Marcel, you back on stage, family? It says he is.
Is a foundational Black American or freedman, and he is living in Ethiopia at the moment. And Twitter is probably put him out, but he also, Ethiopia's internet is not the best. I've visited Ethiopia before. Depending on where you are, the internet is almost non-existent, and he always has connectivity issues because of being in Ethiopia. So I just wanted to say that real quick. And Twitter is still shitter as far as I'm concerned now.
Marcel with the heat, always, family. Big deal. I want everybody in the room to notice that anytime these tethers start talking, they never have anything substantial to stand on. And I was saying that early before we got about 140 people in the room. I was saying that when we had about 50 people in the room, is that when foundational Black Americans speak, our testimonies are thorough. We name names and dates. We'll put that shit in cursive. That's what we do. When they talk, they don't ever have anything to stand on. They just speak about, I can't even say it's conjecture, because at least conjecture has, a little bit of something to build on. They don't even have that. They're just lying and they're pulling things out of the sky. That tether dude who was just doing the tether two-step, he was in here talking a minute ago, and he keeps on bringing up people that don't even exist. He know they don't exist. Listen, brother, you can lie to me. Just don't lie to yourself, all right? And that's the problem. These guys lie to themselves. They sit in the mirror and they tell lies to each other all day. I don't know whether they believe it or not, but at the end of the day, it still don't make it any ounce of truth to it. So when you start talking about foundational Black Americans and freedmen, everything we say is real. We all know our family tree is full of testimonies. All of us. I don't care whether you're from the East Coast to West Coast, down south, up north. It does not matter where you're from. We've all sat at that damn table and heard our mothers, fathers, grandparents speak, and they pass down stories. This is why when we all speak and we convene in these Twitter spaces, a lot of our stories are very similar. This is how we know that we have a common core. This is how we know we have a commonality, and this is how we know we on game. But with that said, Brother Michael, I seen is back on the stage. It's all on you, family.
Thank you. Great host. And I see the brother Bizilla is there, the brother Marcel, Sister Lioness, the Queen. Listen, I'm here on the continent. And those tethers that are sitting in the U.S. beating the drums of war can't even go home. You understand? Matter of fact, I can't tell you how many calls I get from the people here on the ground asking me if they can call those people over there tethers. They like that word. You understand? So is there really a diaspora war? Listen, these Ethiopians over here, the ones that haven't fled, they have a saying. And the saying goes, while the hyenas are barking, the elephants are walking. The only diaspora war that's happening
is a war for our attention. We're the only people on the planet that gives them attention, you understand? Everyone ignores them, steps on them, spits on them. And here we are giving them attention. They're like children, you understand? They're underdeveloped. They're unevolved. And they want our attention, you understand? They can't beat us. They can't outthink us. They can't out-strategize. They're just babies begging for attention. And I'll land with that. Thank you, great family. Love you all.
Thank you, brother. I wish we had fire emojis, brother. Man, powerful, powerful, powerful. Make sure you tune into my brother Black Alpha to catch this replay if you are coming in late. Family, that right there, I gotta back pick on that because it's like they're doing spaces to get our attention. Like, hey, look at me, y'all. Look at me, y'all. Hey, Foundation of Black Americans. Look at me, y'all. Freeman, look over here. Oh man, y'all ain't paying no attention to me. Man, y'all some haters, man. Damn, y'all a hate group. Come on, man. What do you think about that, brother?
Man, I'm still trying to get over that last right there, brother. That was fire. Fire, pure fire. I got to piggyback on what that brother just said because that was thorough to the core. Nobody else on the planet pays him any attention. And the more I think about that, the more true that is. Nobody pays him no attention. I remember Farrakhan said they're looked at as international beggars. They're international beggars. Salute to you, Lioness Crown, because I know you call them time-wasting tethers. And that's exactly what they be. Time, wasting tethers, and nobody pays any attention to them. So when nobody's paying you attention, the desperation kicks in. Once the desperation kicks in, they create burner accounts, and then they're trying to come in our space and deal with us. So once we start regulating them and G-checking them, then the whole world is already regulating them and G-checking them. They got nowhere to turn to. Brother Marcel, floor is yours, family.
Y'all, I'm supposed to be in class right now. This class is an online class, and I got this damn Zoom on mute. I turned my camera off. I said, this is where I'd rather be. This is where my heart is. This thing I'm doing this so I can have more time to campaign and advocate on behalf of my people. This career change I'm trying to make. But this professor records the class anyway, so I'm just gonna look at it again. Yeah. Mikhail hit on something really, really, really important. I know my parents is Nigerian. One thing they tells me that they say is that the same thing that Mikhail just said, that a lot of these Africans in their countries, the ones who have stayed, they absolutely despise a lot of the ones that go overseas. The ones that cause problems or think they're trying to cause problems for us over here are the same ones that they hate.
Ooh, we are cooking too. Days, man. And like I said, how we started earlier talking about how people present themselves as enemies. Like when I was saying how you will know how a group deals or feels about your culture based on the way they interact with your men. And something that I've always noticed, when you see these tethers coming in here, just like that brother tried to do, he immediately had to lie. Like I said, when all else fails, lie. And that's how these people do. And one of the biggest things that we are separating from, that's why he keeps coming in here with the Congo and the Congo and the Congo. And then when we tell him, well, that whole Congo piece in the Congo Square is not an homage to black folk. He really can perceive in his mind that white people would literally make a place, call it this, all of a sudden start celebrating their slave. What the hell is wrong with this dude? Like, this is how you know this man was not born in this country. Because he don't have no history tied in, well, my family was from Louisiana. Nah, clearly you're from the damn Congo. I mean, because you just won't let it go. With that being said, Brother Afro Elite in the house, I see you with your hand up. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, I'm going to be short. I don't have a lot of time, but thank you very much for letting me get a chance to speak. One thing that I will say is that there really isn't a war or a beef, because in order for it to be a war or a beef, both parties need to be going back and forth. there needs to be a back and forth between FBA and non-FBA. And there's really no back and forth. It's just us doing what we're supposed to do. We're just tightening up our circle. We're just cleaning our house, and they're hating on it. For instance, for an example, you don't really see anybody in this room or in FBA spaces. You don't really see us going in their spaces trolling them. You don't see us going in a space full of Africans and they're just talking about their business, and then you have an FBA person goes up there and we start trolling and trying to take the space down or make fun of them. You don't really see us doing that. You see us sometimes responding to what they do, but for the most part, you see us leaving them alone. And you see them, they come in our circles, they come in our spaces or our videos or whatever the case may be, and they troll us. The attack and the aggression and the vitriol is only one way. It only gets directed towards us. Any bit that we do or we say is really in response to all of the trolling that they give us. So there's really no beef. It's just people hating, and then sometimes if we got the time, we clown them, and that's it. And I'll land there.
Yes, sir. And clowning them. See, that's a whole nother thing I noticed that they were talking about, and I caught a little bit of one of them spaces earlier. What they do is they start a conversation after the point of coming in these spaces with disrespect. And then they start trying to point fingers at foundational Black Americans, saying how, oh man, they're just so irrational. And one of the brothers asked them a question. He said, well, why don't you just leave them alone? And you know what their response was? Well, when you have people out here with all of this rhetoric, they can't go unchecked. Nigerian, Somalians, Djiboutians, whatever the hell you call yourselves, you are in no way in a position from fleeing to try to check solid, certified, at home, feet planted on the ground firmly, foundational Black Americans such as ourselves. There is nothing over here for you to check. You better check that plane, check that passport, and take your ass back to where you came from with that. But with that being said, you want to go ahead and chime in on that, brother?
Brother Zilla said they better check that passport. They better get on a red eye and get on up out of here. That's what fleers do. I want everybody else to notice how they start off. You ever notice that they always start off with 2 or 3 things that they feel we're going to agree with, and then that's when they pivot? We done held spaces personally, me, Zilla, and Afro, where we done sat there and seen a tether call in, and then they'll start off on some cool stuff. One guy was calling in talking about, what's that dude's name? Grandmaster Agent J or whatever, Scam Master J. He was like, yeah, Scam Master J ain't this, and this. And then we blinked, and 2 seconds later, he started trying to pivot back to foundational Black Americans. They'll call in and start talking about Joe Biden. Then they'll pivot to back to foundational Black Americans. They were doing this the other day when they were talking about the Queen of England. They started off saying, yeah, I don't care about the Queen. Then they pivoted and went right back to foundational Black Americans. Their game is sloppy. They real sloppy with it. They dirty. They raggedy. This stuff is real dusty. It's that tether dust. Okay, they got all that tether dust on them, and it ain't easy, you know what I'm saying, for them to really get off on us. Foundational Black Americans, we see through all the BS. We see through all the nonsense. So anytime they come to us and they try to throw out 3 or 4 words that they feel we're going to start listening, and then when we start listening, then they'll start saying, bud, y'all's needs to do this, and y'all's need to do that. We understand that stuff from a mile away. And personally, I feel within the last year, salute to everybody in the room, I feel we have become experts on regulating a lot of these tethers. The very term tether, that's pretty much a new term that we have all created as people, and we all use that as a basis to get off on. Like our brother Michael was just saying, they over there asking them, can they use the term tether? That's us. We created that. So one thing that has happened and has occurred within the last, year or so is that we have gotten really, really skilled and really, really poignant with how we deal with these tethers, because the old generations, they're the ones genuinely who created this mess. They was letting everybody come on in and say we brothers and we sisters and we all friends just because we melanated folks. And now we've got to the point where we expose that and we've regulated that, and we've gotten very, very good with it. I'm out here seeing old Black folks G-checking them, young Black folks G-checking them, folks from the South, from the East, from the North, from the West. And the one thing we have in common, when it comes to running tethers off the block, we do it. And we don't do it wasting time and energy. We do it with style. Remember, FBA, we can G-check your ass on the way to the bank. My brother Freeway's in the house. The floor is yours, my brother.
What's up, everybody? Salute to everybody in the room. One thing I want to say is for the ones who come from elsewhere, you know, the Caribbean and Africa and all the other places too in the world who come to America, you know, me and you both know that coming to America is a status symbol. Because when you go home, you ain't going home to stay, you're going home to visit, and you do flex on them people when you down there about to get ready and fly out and go back to America. Now, the problem is with that status that you earn coming up amongst Foundation of Black American Freedmen, being off code, you just earned another status symbol, which is tether. You earned that name. Nobody came in and tried to, you earned that name. Let's just be clear about that. And over the years, a lot of the attitudes, I'm talking about the tether attitudes and tether mentalities is getting checked. And you got to eat that. You got to eat that. When you get on black people nerve, they going to eventually deal with you. Everybody got grandmas and granddaddies. Once you get on their nerve, they finna get on your ass, and that's it. So right now, I'll just fall back for now. I keep it real short. If I got something else to say, I'll come back up. But like, imagine your grandma and your granddaddy. You go ahead and they tell you, sit down, sit down, sit down. Get on their nerves, they getting on your ass.
Major facts. That's foundational Black American living for you, bro. Like, I think all of us got that little tasty tidbit of history. I mean, for real. Because, I mean, you ain't going to be able to just sit up there and be told 1,000 times in a day that, hey, stop that. Hey, stop that. Hey, stop that. Just like that brother said. Yeah, about you lucky if you going about 3 times. But, yeah, that's going to be that ass, man. And that's, again, that's how we understand respect. You would never see foundational Black Americans going to nobody else's joint. Be respectful. Then we have conversations. We're just literally. Then they come in here introducing themselves into. It's like, why do you guys hate us so much? Like, hold on. We over here having a family conversation. This don't even concern you. Why are you now centering yourself? And it's like that brother said earlier. These people are attention starved, and it's just really showing itself on a major scale right now. What you think about that, brother?
Big facts, man. I love the way Freeway put that down. That's a real facts. We zero tolerance, man. You know, we got a very, very short tolerance for the BS, especially this era. You know what I'm saying? We're done. Like, the whole wait till tomorrow, wait till the next generation, things is gonna get better, y'all. Man, that's over with. We are in the real time, real results era, and we want it now. We want it today, and we deserve it. Because once again, we created this country. We created this country. Not kinda, nobody cold contributed, none of that stuff. It's all us. It has our fingerprints everywhere. So therefore, folks is realizing you're going to have to wipe your feet when you step to that door. And that door has foundational Black American on it. As far as I'm concerned, I say no trespassers. That's the way it should be, and that's how it should have been years ago. But that's okay, because that's how it is now. And we have all played a role in it. That's why I salute everybody in the room and everybody who's keeping this alive. Everybody who's permeating and radiating that real FBA energy. I salute you, because we are the ones who disallow people from coming in and eating off our plate. Remind you, these folks did not make their own plate. They didn't put a piece of food on that plate, not an iota. Only thing they've ever done is they came over here, found what we were doing, and then they said, let me get it. Let me take it. And if they got to come up with some tricky way of doing it, put on some camouflage, sneak in, like I said, cover themselves in all that tether dust, that's what they try to do. But now we're not allowing that to go on, and we stopping that stuff in the tracks. We checking them at the door. You know what I'm saying? So foundational Black Americans carrying the weight for the world, carrying the weight for people who don't respect that, that's over. It's going to have to be some respect. Going to have to be some respect. And you're going to have to respect it, because we know you cannot check it. And I tell everybody this, and I'll consistently say it, and I'll constantly say it. When it comes to this country right here, this is what we built and what we created, and they run and they hide. So you can never really have somebody who's a stealer, who's a thief, sitting at the same table with somebody who is an architect. We built this country from scratch. Not kind of. We didn't jump in when it was halfway built. We didn't come over and see what other people was doing and put our name on it. We didn't pull out an erase board and erase their name and put it on ours. No, we built it, we created, we innovated, and we own it, and we're going to act like it. And they're upset right now because this is the generation where we're acting like what we have done. We're not acting like somebody who is a second-class citizen, someone who's just lucky to be here, someone who's privileged to be around the W's. Hell to the no. Everybody is privileged to be around us, and that's what it is. That is what it's always been. But the only difference is now is we saying that shit loud and proud. Shows you that we are the head of the table. You know what I'm saying? We're at the boss's table making boss moves. We're in a winner's circle, and when we go, everybody follows us. That's the main thing. But what, you know, the difference between us and a lot of other, you know, groups and you know, across the world is that over here we handle ours. We take care of our things, our lineage, our heritage, and our culture. We represent it to the fullest, and we have a tight grip on who needs to be here and who doesn't. If people are off code, we regulate them and we G-check them. How many times do you guys sit back and see somebody who's off code, and then we wonder, where are the on-code people at in these places? Okay, when you start talking about the diaspora, I know there are on-code folks, but the problem is that the on-code folks are surrounded by a lot of folks who are off-code. When you look at us right here, our lineage, we are on-code the majority, and I'm going to tell you why. The very fact that the government has to spend so much money to derail us. You can look at the Democratic Party, all these political people, all these, you know, transactions that are made, they're all made to stifle us. That shows you that we're operating on code. The very fact that when you go over there, you have people who are on code once or twice. You got another people, but this in pockets. We move more of a collective unit. So therefore, when we make things happen, we make things happen. Trust and believe. They're coming up with ideas. And I'm talking about the dominant society, all their minions, all their wannabes. They're coming up with ideas just so they can stop foundational Black Americans from making the progress that we had. We have made more progress in the last 5 years than they've made in the last 50. And that's because we know who's on code and who's not. We know who's certified. We know who's counterfeit. Once we identify somebody as counterfeit, we run them out the paint. These other, you know, people, they don't do that. They'll sit down and they'll let other people fester and go around for years and, you know, put a bunch of salt in the game and give the game a black eye. We don't do that. So a notion of moving around and this notion of getting things done and things accomplished, it starts with regulating. And there ain't nothing wrong with regulating. If somebody's off code, you got to check them. If somebody does not deserve to be here, we got to check them. Because we had that problem of that open door policy, which allowed folks to come into the building, allowed folks to come into the community, and they came with nefarious reasonings, and they ended up crippling us from the inside. So the one thing that we've done the best in this FBA era is that we've regulated and we stop folks from coming in the house that do not belong in the house. And this is the house that we built, and it's the house that we maintain, and it's the house that we sustain, and we're going to continue to do it. Brother Andy, I know you've been in here for a minute, family. You want to talk?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm enjoying the space. Yeah, call me the tether whisperer. See, the first time I heard the word Akata was on the radio here in Ghana. I'm in Accra. I've never been to the USA. So this radio was broadcasting to the airwaves, like FM, and then it was also streaming online. This was around 2000 and maybe 2006. And the topic was, man, this is a little, you know, well, we are all adults here. The topic was Ghanaian men and Akata men, who is better in bed? So you had this woman calling, talking about Ghanaians living in America and Ghanaians over here who had experiences with, you know, freedmen. And that was my first time of hearing the word Akata. And it was being normalized. You see, the culture over here is tribalism. This Akata they call you. You see, the tribes over here, they like to name other tribes. My mother's tribe is the Ghana tribe. We have other tribes giving us other names. They call us Incline. That is why the capital of Ghana is Accra, but not the name of the natives, which is Ga. They call us Accra because the white supremacists had the Incline, and then they could not mention Incline. The Incline became Accra. It's a common practice where tribes name other tribes, and then, you know, calling people inferior. That's also another thing they do. One tribe likes to dehumanize the other tribe so they can attack them, so they can sell them off to slavery, so they can take their resources. You understand? Tribalism is everywhere in Africa, but at the same time, it's a taboo word. In that sense, no individual likes to get called out for it. You understand? So now, when you call them out for tribalism, that blocks a lot of the reverse psychology that they like to play on you. When you call them tethers, you are calling, when you call them a tether, sorry, they'll say, what are you calling me? What is a tether? What is that? And then you have to explain to them what it means. And then they say, why do you hate me? You see, they start playing the victim. But if you go around all that and just hit them in the face with the hey, man, you are practicing tribalism. You just watch them choke up. And it's a 2-for-1, because when you call them out for tribalism, they'll say, okay, you've disarmed me, you've exposed me for what I'm doing, and you are stating the fact that you are a tribe, which is FBA is a tribe. And yeah, I land my plane.
Hold on, Brother Andy, can I ask you some questions, brother, since, I got a bunch of, foundational Black Americans on this panel and, you're here, family. I want to ask you some questions. If you could just give me some, quick answers, I appreciate it. May I do that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, they tell us a lot of times that Akata is a term that's only used in Nigeria. You tell me that Akata is actually used outside of Nigeria, correct?
Yes, sir. It is used here in Ghana. The first time and the only times I heard Akata in person was here in Ghana. I only started hearing Akata was being used by Nigerians when I got on code, following Tariq and, the whole movement.
Okay, so that's right there for everybody listening. That is disproving the point that they say Akata is only a Nigerian term. I appreciate that answer, family. Let me ask you another question. You said that they try to dehumanize other tribes and other groups that don't think like they do, correct?
Yes, they do. That is one of the attributes of somebody who is practicing tribalism. They'll say, oh, these people, they are dirty. These people, they are cows. Because these people are Fulani, or this Fulani, they are cow. That is just dehumanization. Yeah.
I appreciate that as well, family. So you're saying that anytime they have an issue or some type of problem with another person, one of the go-to things they do is try to dehumanize them and comparing the animals and comparing the things that are bad?
Yeah, you people, you are nothing. Let me tell you something. The Ashanti, I know people who are from Ashanti tribe. When they come to Accra, these people come from villages. When they come to the capital city, what is the main thing they do? They like to point out one or two Ga people. Those are the natives of Accra. And point out the one or two Ga people who are, maybe, being dirty or being lazy. And then they'll say, oh, you Ga people, you are lazy. Well, then go back to your small village. Why are you here in our capital city pointing out to a few people who are, maybe not living up to your standard? But if you are living up to such a high standard, you will not have to flee your village and come to the capital city, which is our land.
Okay, I understand that completely. So they like to use the term other people are being lazy as a term of downplaying somebody.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now, when you say that, brother, and I appreciate your answers, when they use the term lazy or they try to compare people to animals and things of that nature, what happens when you call them out on that stuff and you point? Because you said that puts it into their reverse psychology. How do they respond when you in that reverse psychology and you tell it how it is?
Well, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Trust me. And they are always taken off guard when you have a comeback for them. That's a thing that you have to understand about this. Right now, all this pushback and all this signing petitions, it's like they did not expect any of these things from you guys. But I would say, take it a step further and call them out for tribalism. Tethers practice tribalism. You understand? That is like the nail, the hammer on the nail. Tribalism, that's the word.
Hey, can I just chime in here real quick? Damn, I forgot that quick. I'm in the store. That's the same play that the Nigerians and the Zimbabweans have been running on the South Africans, and the South Africans aren't having it. And just for the Ghanaian guy that's speaking, we've been calling them out on tribalism. That's why they stopped running up in our room. So this isn't a new fight. We told them to stop, to leave that stuff over there on their continent and not bring that to us.
I got one more for you, Brother Andy. Let me ask you this question. They run around now and they have a lot of hate in their blood and they got a lot of, spite and vitriol for foundational Black Americans. So what they try to do is they try to turn our lineage, our culture, and our heritage into a hate group. So they sign petitions. I heard you just mention a minute ago about those petitions. Would it be safe to say that the majority of people who are signing these petitions and the majority of people who are trying to hate on us and trying to falsely make us a hate group, would it be safe to say that the majority of those people are tethers?
Yeah, I think it would be safe to say that. Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that, family. I definitely appreciate it. You make sure you follow Black Alpha Network, family, because it sounds like you on code. And I want everybody to see when we deal with somebody who's on code from the diaspora, we show respect. We G-check folks who are off code. But that ain't nothing new because foundational Black Americans, we don't discriminate. If you are from these 50 states and you off code, you get G-checked. And if you from outside of these 50 states and you off code, you get G-checked. We keep it real all the way down the board. And I appreciate what you said, brother. This was a breakdown of a lot of the tethers. And this is coming straight straight from, you brother who's over there. This isn't us making conjecture, because one thing they hate is when we present people from their homeland who say the same things we're saying. So we got, once again, facts on our side, truth on our side, reality on our side.